Can everyone hear me loud and clear? Can everyone hear me loud and clear?
Yes, sir, we can hear you, sir.
Okay, I just want to be sure.
Hello, Prof.
Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are hearing my voice.
Yeah, thank you. I think we have to exercise some patience. I've just realized that it's about time for those who are fasting in Nigeria. So we may have to wait for some time for those who are linking up, even though we don't want to follow African time. But a lot of people are asking if we are on. I've told them we are on. I'm telling them we are on. So
I think Prince is trying to connect his audio.
yeah.
We start in 4 minutes. And I understand people will break their fast, and that will be around 7 p.m. Nigerian time. So
This is just 6 o'clock now. We are keeping to time.
We're going to keep it everything within the time frame to ensure that those who want to break their fast will be able to do so. So in 4 minutes we start. I notice Prince has been able to connect with his audio, and we are running this live also on YouTube and the same time on Facebook.
Yeah. We just.
I'm okay audio wise, everything, no problem. Thank you.
We can
hear you, Prince.
We can hear you loud and clear.
We just want to, even though we are time conscious, we know we are prompt. Others are not like us, so we may have to wait a little for our people, knowing we keep to time, but again, we want to carry them along with us. So, what do you think, Prof? Yeah, that is, we just wait a little, and
we will start on the top of the hour when it's 12 noon over here, for the sake of those who we want to break their fast. So we have to keep everything under um, Good afternoon.
Darry,
Good
can we just
evening.
wait? Can we just wait for another 5 minutes?
Good afternoon. Good evening. Good morning, wherever
Bro,
you are.
Bro, can we just wait for another 5 minutes? There are a lot of people trying to join with the link I just sent to them.
I think we have enough people, and a lot of people are joining on Facebook and also on YouTube as well.
Okay.
So we already have our guest speaker here,
Yeah.
and as I'm talking to you, I have a lot of people trying to join,
Yes.
and some of them will join us as we continue.
Okay.
So I know our guest speaker, we have a lot of commitment.
Exactly.
And the key person that is very important for this program is here.
Yes, right.
And if you agree with me,
Yeah, General William wants to join. I just sent the link to him.
so I think we should go ahead.
Yeah, he has joined. General William has joined, so we can go ahead
With our program.
Yeah.
Today is Saturday, April 16, 2022. And this is Council of African Security Affairs, CASA, our virtual conversation on Nigerian democracy and national security. Knowing fully well some of you are fasting, I understand yesterday was Passover, and tomorrow is going to be Easter Sunday. To all our Christian folks, I say Happy Easter to you all. And Your Excellency, I know you are Christian, Happy Easter to you as well. This program is not a debate, but one of our dialogue series, a platform where we listen to, engage the in-depth understanding of all presidential aspirants on national security issues. We see it as very important. Once again, my name is Oludari Ogunlana. I will be the anchor for this event today. I'm a researcher and a college professor of national security in Texas. I'm a Nigerian and former student leader, a former NANS president in 1996, 97. I'm a stakeholder. I'm a secretary of CASA. CASA dedicated to action that elevate human security concern to the forefront of public affairs, policy formulation and implementation by enhancing and promoting programs that strategically respond to African security needs, including development, and we advocate using public-oriented process and socially responsive regulatory framework, just like what we are doing today. At this juncture, let me call on Dr. Rafadile, who happens to be the president of CASA, to give us a brief welcome keynote for proper understanding of what we plan to do here today. Colonel, are you ready?
Thank you very much, Prof. Dear compatriots, good evening and welcome to this virtual conversation on Nigerian democracy and national security. We at the Council for African Security Affairs are particularly delighted to host Prince Adewole Adebayo, a renowned orator, an attorney, and an aspirant to the office of the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria and Commander-in-Chief, a man who believes in justice according to law as the cornerstone of his vision to rescue Nigeria from its current predicament. Prince Adewole Adebayo is a direct descendant of Osamawe Odunla, grandson of Osamawe Laminla, and a direct descendant of Alaafin Onigbogi, and Alaafin Sango of Oyoile, Alan Alepe, Esu of Nupe, and Oba of Benin. He was born in Ondo town, where he had his primary and secondary education. He attended Obafemi Awolowo University Ilefe for his LLB, Nigerian Law School, Lagos, for his barrister at law. He had a master's degree from University of Jos. Prince Adewole Adebayo is licensed to practice law in New York State, Georgia State, and California State in the United States of America. He's licensed to practice in the United Kingdom and Australia. Prince Adewole Adebayo is the Chartered Institute of Arbitration in Nigeria, Singapore, and the United Kingdom. He had his law firm based in Abuja, Adewale Adebayo & Co. House of Law. He is the president of his media house, King Adebayo Film and Theatre Arts Network Television, Kaftan TV for show. He broadcasts in English, Yoruba, and Hausa, and he has an online media house, Kaftan Post. As chairman of African Dialogue Mission, Prince Adewale Adebayo in 2006 was appointed by the United Nations Organization and ECOWAS as a member of Commission on the Truth and Reconciliation Commission in Liberia. He's an industrialist and entrepreneur. He's a chairman of many boards worldwide. One of our main objectives at Council for African Security Affairs is national security in all its ramifications.
Colonel, nice to see your face.
Being the foundation of development in any nation, we see national security as a medium to protect the state and its people in all their undertaking. Thus is the foremost responsibility of any government to prioritize the safety and security of its people and their development thereof. We have had reports and comments made by some prominent Nigerians about their views on the regretful state of Nigerian national security. For instance, General IBM Aruna retired stated, "We are in for sensitive happenings. I think the attacks on the rail lines, airports, and roads are all process of de-democratization of Nigeria. The situation makes one suspect that either the present administration wants a situation of self-succession or an emergency government, which will come under its leadership." 2, Malam El Rufai, governor of Kaduna State, stated that these people, terrorists, are getting money. The way they are so emboldened, they fear no authority, no soldier. And so why won't security agents go to the enclaves and kill them all? Unless this is done, this problem will persist and it is capable of destroying Nigeria as a whole. We know where they are. SSS gives report on them every day. They have their numbers, including that of Dogo Gide. 3, Hadiza Bala Usman stated, this continuous period of insecurity in the country needs to be decisively addressed. We can't go on like this. Rescue our citizens and secure our country. That's all we ask. And lastly, the Ministers of Defense and Information confirmed just last Wednesday, the 13th of April, 2023, that terrorists in Northwest are part of Boko Haram and Islamic State of West Africa. According to General Bashir Magashi, the Minister of Defense, what is happening now is that there's a kind of handshake, unholy handshake, between bandits and Boko Haram insurgents. Preliminary reports of what transpired at the Kaduna train attacks shows that there is a kind of collaboration between bandits and the dislodged Boko Haram terrorists from the Northeast. As Commander-in-Chief to be, we at the Council for African Security Affairs, and indeed Nigerians, and the international community as a whole, will be pleased to hear from our guest, Prince Adewole Adebayo, on his visions, understanding, strategy, and possible solutions to facilitate the effective handling of national security issues in Nigeria. At this juncture, I will give the floor back to Council of Affairs Security Secretary General, Professor Oludare Omulano, to continue the conversation with our special guest, whom we are honored to have with us virtually today. Prof, you have the floor.
Thank you very much. I'm glad to see people like Professor Tunde Adeniran, General Ishola Williams. I cannot continue to keep counting, but I'm glad to see all of you here. National security protects a sovereign state and its citizens and economy and institution as well. And all these are known as a duty of government. We've listened to the president of the Council for African Security Affairs, mentioning all the problems, counting everything one by one, and the challenges, which of course, they're all over ahead of us. And we understand that security is a public good. Our guest today is committed to the public interest through his numerous work. He is a distinguished lawyer and a member of the International Bar Association, and his practice cut across all world's continent. I call him an industrialist. I just listened to his profile. He's a farmer as well, and also a philanthropist. He is a recipient of many awards, both home and abroad. Today, our Nigerian presidential oath, and my guest today is a direct descendant of Osemawe Odunola, a grandson of Osemawe Lamela, and direct descendant of Alaafin Onigbogi and Alaafin Sango of Oyo-Ile and Ile-Ife, the son of Esu of Nukpe and Oba of Benin. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Prince Adewole Adebayo. You are welcome.
Thank you very much. Happy Easter to everyone, and I'm grateful for the invitation. Thank you very much.
We are pleased to have you as our guest today. And as mentioned in our letter to you, this is not a debate, but of course, as a presidential aspirant for 2023, Nigerians home and abroad and international community will be interested in your assessment of the current security situation as enunciated by the president of CASA. Want to know about your strategy to confront them when you become president of the most populous Black nation on the planet Earth. As mentioned in our letter to you, we are going to cover topical issues and want to listen to you, all those the frontier of democratic structure, and want to explore your outstanding open questions and concern for people like General William from Professor Tunde Adeniran, one of the renowned professor of security in Nigeria and a diplomat. Your Excellency, transforming security challenges to opportunity. We need not to mention that it's a time for us to transition to innovation. We know there's trouble everywhere. Nigeria has been fighting Boko Haram and ISWAP for almost 2 decades without any end in sight. The business of kidnapping for ransom is booming in every region of the country. We have seen an upsurge of ritual killing in the southwest of Nigeria. The bandits are operating ceaselessly in the northern part of Nigeria. And to set the record straight, on March 28th of this year, an Abuja-Kaduna train was attacked in Katari, Kaduna State, Nigeria. That's attack on critical infrastructure, right? 154 killed by terrorists in Kanam communities in Plateau on April 7 this year. On March 26, terrorists attacked Kaduna Airport, targeting our critical infrastructure as well. On March 25 of this same year, 150 persons were killed and their houses were burned when terrorists attacked Kaduna community. On that same March, last month, 22nd, we have number of policemen who were killed as terrorists attacked security checkpoint in Katsina. On April 6th, terrorists attacked a hospital and a school in Borno. I can go on and go on and go on. But our understanding is that without security, there will be no peace, no stability, and no foreign investor will invest in a country with a high degree of instability. You will not argue with me that defending the homeland from terror organization is a fighter interest to the state, to Nigeria. And the challenges with that interest will be met by force and by all means. You are going to become president. To exercise power, Nigeria must be capable of carrying out threats. Can we carry out any threat today? And doing this will require possessing all the instruments of power. And these instruments of power are divided into three: diplomatic, economic, and military power. We have been fighting terrorism for almost 2 decades with only military approach. And the approach towards fighting terrorism is a semi-military approach. The significant element of terrorism and its suppression are also political and law enforcement concerns, for which military responses, which of course we have been using, is ineffective. Your Excellency, in the midst of all this chaos, how do you intend to confront these monsters and build trust among the people and bring people together and also build trust within the international community and bring foreign investors to Nigeria? Let me yield my microphone to you.
Okay, thank you very much. Now, let us discuss at 2 levels. At the policy level, we will discuss national security and also another aspect of national security, which is state security, to secure a state. Because when you want to know what is a state, you look at our constitution. Our state is the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And it has a government, it has other institutions, it has citizens. And it has objectives, just like you set up any organization. It has objectives of what it wants to achieve. All those lofty objectives in the Constitution, you need national security to achieve them. And for those that you have achieved, you need national security to sustain them. Now, there is the aspect of national security, that subset, which is making people anxious today, is public safety. So when the common person is talking about the country being secure, they are not aware of the feasibles. They are only looking at the manifestation of lack of public safety. And in Nigeria, in recent times, the most prominent threat to public safety has been the insurgency in the Northeast, known colloquially as Boko Haram. In the Northwest, Zamfara, started from Zamfara area and it's now spreading across, now centered between Niger State and Kaduna State mainly. We have banditry. And in the southeastern part of Nigeria, we have a more politicized version of threat to public safety, ECN, IPOP, and some other things like that. And in the Southwest, you have other people coming up that are mainly some crime against persons. And in the North Central, you have all kinds of crime. Now, historically, especially since after the Nigerian Civil War, we've always had armed attacks by way of armed robbery. We had to set up armed robbery and firearms tribunal and all of that. And we have all of those threats. Now, when I'm going to address it today, I will address the aspect that has to do with public safety. And you also permit me to address aspects that have to do with state security or national security per se. For example, if there's a threat to the continuity of the government, or there's an infiltration of the government by what is styled in our constitution as enemies foreign and enemies domestic. Because when you are coming in as the president, you automatically becomes the head of state. You are also the commander-in-chief of the armed forces. And you are warned in your oath of office that you are to defend the republic against enemies, foreign and domestic. There are so many things you are supposed to do as president. You are supposed to supervise construction of roads, build universities, do all of these things, but none of them is put in the oath of office. So to show you the criticality of national security and state security, you are told that you are the sentry. You are the person, the sentry at the gate that is going to protect us against enemies, foreign and domestic. And sometimes the enemies, foreign and domestic, don't work together. Sometimes they work together. And the enemy domestic can actually be the gentleman or lady who is serving you tea in the State House. It can be an officer of the state who has taken an oath of office, but who is not showing allegiance to the country. And that's why you see in some countries, the legislative arm, the media, everyone tries to investigate if there are foreign interests infiltrating their government. You will see in the United States, it took like a period of 4 years with many investigations by security agencies, by the parliament, the Congress, as they call it over there, trying to investigate whether a particular president was an infiltrator or a surrogate for their foreign enemy. Now, shortage of food in a country, even simple things as collapse of infrastructure and even people attacking your information system, attacking your record system, anything that threatens the orderly processes in the country is a threat to national security. So if you have hungry citizens, disloyal civil servants, and if you have disunity, these are all threats to national security. If you have security officials who are suborned by foreign interests or who are consumed by unpatriotic concerns like making money, forging reports, doing all sort of things, any act of lack of allegiance to the republic is a threat to national security. But many of these things can exist for a long time in government, and the public will not be aware. But once there's a bomb blast somewhere, or there's a train station attack, or there is a highway robbery, or anything that threatens the safety of the public, then the public starts to say the country is insecure.
That's
But the
concentrated
country may
arm.
have been insecure. Hello?
I said that's concentrated arm, which of course we make so
Yes.
much noise when it comes to concentrated arm.
Yes. But the public is intersecting or interacting or triangulating on the issue of public national security from the point of view of how safe they feel. So this is why the government needs to address that aspect frontally first. But the issue of our state security or national security needs to be addressed for a long time. For example, economic sabotage is a form of national insecurity. So if your currency is falling, either due to arbitrage, due to all sorts of manipulation, either you are attacked from outside or those who are managing your economy are taking advantage and your currency is depreciating. That in itself is a form of economic insecurity. So that if
Your
employment,
Excellency, we are going to touch
yeah,
that part when we're looking at human security versus national security priority.
okay, well, what I'm bringing out is this.
Yeah. Mhm.
What I'm bringing out is that I wanted at the beginning to lay a foundation. Maybe I'm taking too much time to do that. To lay a foundation that national security is so broad. But in the instances cited in your introduction and leading to the question, they concentrate more on public safety. And I will address those issues. Now, the security of lives and property is the first duty of government. And absence of government in, say, for example, collapsed states where there's no proper government, where there is stable government in many places, whether in the Gulf of Aden, in other places. The first thing you will notice is that lives and property are at stake. And if you want to measure whether you actually have a proper government that's in charge, the public will start to look at you from the point of view whether lives and property are safe. And in this country, Nigeria, unfortunately, they are not. Now, what has happened is that we have a long history of having bad governance. And now it appears as if we are transiting from having bad governance to non-governance at all. And how do you end up with non-governance? Because the chief security officer is the president. And if the president has lost control, as it appears, of his armed services and his security agencies, both military and paramilitary, and the civilian components of them, like the police, the state department, and all of that, there are three ways in which that has happened. There has been a misunderstanding of the purposes of these security agencies. Many of them have narrowed it down to VIP protection. So they only react to things that threaten certain VIP or VVIP. You will see that if you look at the deployment of the police, even civil defense and not the rest of them, even the DSS now joining, you will see that they are very feasible in protecting certain persons in society, but they are not that feasible in protecting the ordinary person. So that what that has done is that they measure their performance and efficiency on whether they secure persons in government, and any other person outside government is taken as collateral damage. That is number one problem. Number two problem is governance problem, because I'm laying this foundation to let you know how I'm going to tackle it.
I think there's maybe in second round of the question you have where you're going to be able to get that straight. But I understand that the major institution of Nigerian national security, including law enforcement, were designed in different era to meet different requirements.
Yes.
And there's a need to transform everything, transform all those agencies.
Yes.
But let me quickly ask you this question. And
yes.
I will not only your response, I will appreciate the intervention within, because I see you are able to bring a lot of experts to this platform. And I was in a conference with Russia Group, that's European bloc, intelligence bloc, discussing about the implication of Russia-Ukraine war on Europe. You're going to become president by the grace of God, right? The Russia-Ukraine war is ongoing. Where is Africa in this? There is no doubt that interest revolves around the level of risk involved based on the hierarchy of the interest. We take a lot of things from Ukraine and Russia, right? And nations operate in the anarchical international system, and interest-driven calculations remain the criteria. And when the national security interest is at stake, the interplay of realized interests and who are not central to the dynamics of that international relations organized around the realist paradigm. where should Africans stand in the ongoing war? And what's the security and economic implication of this Russia-Ukraine war on Africa? If you can just touch on that, because I know you have very good template, and I know in round 2 of our question, you have an opportunity to be able to tell us about the governance, about what you're going to do. But this very important question that a president, whoever I want to become president of Nigeria, must be able to take a lead. And Prof, Professor Adewole, I would be interested in listening. I mean, in getting your opinion on these, and also General Williams. I've seen all about Asian. They are already discussing about implication of this war. Eurasia group, they're already discussing about it. Where do we stand? You're going to become the president of the most populous Black nation on the planet Earth. What should be our stand? Thank you. So let me yield the floor to you.
Okay, let me start with the writer that as president of Nigeria, I have other fish to fry. I have more immediate things I need to deal with. But you must be able to work and chew gum at the same time. You must be able to do so many things at the same time. But I want to assure people that securing the homeland is my priority, and giving public safety to people of Nigeria and other people who want to do things in Nigeria, it's my priority. Now, because this is happening in the global world, you must know that what is happening is a proxy war. It's a replay of the Cold War. It's Cold War 2.0. It is a failure of the Yalta Accord. Because when the Second World War was coming to an end, the Allied powers met at Yalta, and the promises were exchanged. Certain lines were feasible lines, including one that was made feasible, the Berlin Wall. And there are other infeasible lines across Europe, where the Allied powers, Soviet Union on the other side, and the US, British, and the rest of the Europeans on the other side. And they agree on certain things. But as the world kept evolving, the Cold War was a half-hearted attempt to keep it and to break it. And they were sensible enough, maybe because of the mutually assured destruction of the nuclear threat, they managed it till the Soviet Union itself collapsed. And since that time, there has been an attempt by the Western allies to try to redefine and to go beyond that original agreement, to say the world has changed. And in Europe, there's an attempt even by some nationalists inside Europe to try to re-examine NATO. Even when Donald Trump became the president of the US, he voiced out certain concerns within America as to whether America should be playing the role it's playing in NATO. And that also coincided with the belief of the young people who are now running Russia as to whether they should leave things the way they are. So on all sides to that Yalta agreement, there has been restlessness. The Russians are not satisfied. The American allies, British, are not satisfied. The Europeans, for whose protection this agreement was ostensibly made, they are also not satisfied. Now, what they are doing right now is an attempt to test strength. And what we should do is to go back to what our forefathers did. When the original Cold War came out, we had the non-aligned movement with many of our leaders.
Concentrate. We'll comment if Professor Adeni on the chat.
So we dealt with that. Now, some part of our politics led by Sir Balewa was of the view that you cannot be non-aligned because being non-aligned was itself a kind of position. So what I would do as Nigeria president is to recognize that we cannot make enemies out of this. So 3 things I'm going to do. Number 1, I'm going to look at the implication on Nigeria and our citizens. For example, we have students schooling in Western Europe. We try to get them back home. We're looking at immigration to see that not many of our people are moving towards danger. Second, there are some imports we are making from Europe, like wheat and not the rest of them. that will affect our industry. Thirdly, there are opportunities there. We produce gas, and we are very close to Europe. And if the gas supply from Russia is becoming threatening, then it's an opportunity that we can take to try to work an arrangement where for the next 50 years, we can have a secure market for our gas. So instead of being on the fifth train of LNG now, we may be other lines, and we may go to the 7, 8, or 10 train based on this agreement. So I believe that
that's great.
Yeah. And in terms of diplomacy, to see that we also help them in trying to talk about it, because remember that when Soviet Union and China had serious disagreement on the verge of war, it was Kwame Nkrumah who was the mediator and was able to bring two sides to peace. So we are not a small country. In any dispute in which we are not directly involved, we can play an arbitral role without jeopardizing our national interest. That's my attitude to it.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. We have to take advantage. We produce gas in essence. Also, we can become a kind of mediator, to ensure that this will not escalate and degenerate to the Third World War. Thank you very much. I will move to the second round of my question, and I will start, with Professor Adeniran's input here, asking what's going to be your immediate focus to ensure public safety and national security. Take note of that. And that comes under human security versus national security priorities. A national security strategy is commonly crafted in real time, as we've mentioned. You've highlighted on so many things, on tangible, proximate threat. But when it comes to human security strategy, that aims at improving the human condition. You said it also that our battle is on two fronts. One, the security front, where victory spells freedom from fear. And the second one, the economic and social front, where victory spells freedom from want. And victory on both fronts can only give us enduring peace in Nigeria. And the primary threat to our human security have far less to do with terrorism than poverty and conflict, including bad government, bad leadership. Those leaders who cannot deliver on their promise, or system that offers differentiated access and opportunities to powerful and the less powerless. In 1948, you are a lawyer, international lawyer for that matter. The 1948 Universal Declaration of Human Rights proclaims that recognition of the inherent dignity and the equal and inalienable right of all members of the human family is the foundation of freedom, justice, and peace in the world, which clearly establishes the centrality of the human being: freedom from want, freedom from fear, and freedom from want. How do you prioritize both in your comprehensive security approach, especially what Professor Adenina just asked? What will be your immediate focus to ensure public safety and national security? Your Excellency.
Thank you very much. The first thing we need to know that all these ramifications can be narrowed down to one thing. You need to have a good government. You need to have good governance, very clearly, which good governance basically means delivering on the mandate, keeping to your oath of office, paying attention to the job, being careful to see things before people see them. Right now, people see things. People in government don't see them. Even when you bring it to them, they are not able to recognize what you are bringing to them. So you have incompetence. Apart from disloyalty, which is there, you also have incompetence. So you bring a competent government of loyal citizens, and you can start addressing the issues. Secondly, you must have a way to have an appreciation of the situation. Because when you have an appreciation of the situation and you articulate this to your service chiefs, security operators, and all of that, they know. And then you can communicate without spreading fear in the public. You can communicate to the public tactically to let them know that you know what's going on. For example, do you know those who are involved in the business of kidnapping? Do you know them? Do you know the statistics? Do you know how they operate? Do you do you follow the money? And do you follow the communication? Now, do you know those who are involved in cattle rustling, for example. This is a major issue for many people in the northern parts of the country, and which even going towards the south. Are you involved in the issue of the uh, insecurity that farmers feel in the presence of uh, um, um, cattle herders? Do you have the statistics? Do you have a way to show to people that if something happens on your farm, within 48 hours, there's a response saying, we know this happened to you, we are taking care of it, you hear from us, and you create a crisis center where that person can follow up or the community can follow up. Do you know about the killing in the Hausa communities? Is it a form of genocide, or is it just general breakdown of law and order? Is it targeted killings? Do you know the killing of Fulani people, how they feel that they are being killed in many parts of the country and they are arming themselves? Do you feel, do you consider the threat to safety of merchants who are itinerant merchants who leave their home states and go to different parts of the country? And the way they feel, many of them, if you go to their shops, they have reason to have tribal unions that bring guns to them and say, in case somebody tries to kill you, this is AK-47 for your defense. Do you know who are the arms dealers? How did we have AR-15 all over the country? AR-15, we know where it comes from. So what is happening in the Sahel? Why is it that the guns and other things that are meant ostensibly to be in Libya are finding themselves in Ibadan? So you need to find out what is happening. And then what's the relationship of our people and our system as part of the transatlantic drug trade? Why are we involved in it? And who are the people coming to mine our gold, for example, whether from Zamfara or to Osun State? Why are people being displaced when gold is found around their area? And then they are displaced and within a short time, what is happening to the information system? Why do we have more information leakage out of the government than we have informants informing the government? Why do informants who inform law enforcement get threatened immediately? How do people who they report on get to know that they are reporting on them? So now, so what is the situation report on everything? What is the formation? What's the strength of Boko Haram? Nobody's mentioning Shekau anymore. So Shekau is a program that has been retired. Or Shekau was a victim, was an odd combat in a battle. Which battle? Where? So, and where did we migrate to ISWAP? And why do we have ISWAP? And why are we even using that language? Why are we using ISWAP? Why is it that ISWAP is being used in some capitals overseas, and suddenly we are using the ISWAP here? And why our security operatives suddenly getting wealthy? Why is that happening? So if you look at the trajectory of our budgeting, how did we go from 600 billion to 2.4 trillion? Even if you take away the exchange rate differential, you take the arbitrage, you take inflation, we are spending too much. And where are we spending more than 6.6% on invisibles? Why are there no boots on the ground? Why do we spend 2.4 trillion? We are spending 4 times what we spend in ECOMOG. What happened? And if you look at the records, which I've studied extensively, of Gawan's program for this Nigerian civil war, all with Chief Adewole managing the finance and all of that. What happened? So, and you notice that after the civil war, we had a 10-year program of demobilization. We had to demob. Mm-hmm. And if you look at the size of where we had the battle, about 3 or 4 sectors in the civil war. We have the marine sector where we have Adewole. You have the northern sector with General Shua. You had the Niger Bridgehead where you had Murtala Mohammed for some time. And then you have the other sector coming from Ogoja, Ikom, and all of that. And if you look at that geography, it's less than Sambisa Forest. But look at the strength of the army that's supposed to take out these insurgents. So when you look at all of this, then I know what to address to my service chiefs. But if the other moral aspect of it, which I can easily deal with, if, for example, there's no kickback in the State House, so there's no service chief who have to look for $1 to come and extend their tenure. Mm-hmm. And you won't have people losing their posting. Immediately, resources are put to those areas. Then suddenly, somebody else has to be moved there, and all this act of indiscipline.
I can see you are well prepared.
So when you deal with all of this,
Nigeria from the wood.
Yeah. So when you deal with this now, then the people you are commissioning to do work for you, they know that you know these things. Then some aspect of it will be communicated to the public. Then you start taking action, because in security, until people are secure, all this talk is just talk. So when people are secure, they can go to Askira Uba, or can go from Biu, Askira Uba, and get to Meduguri for a long time. They can go all the way to Hong and travel and come out at the south east of the Chad, and they don't get attacked. They can travel to Kaduna, Kano, all the way without feeling that they are under any threat. When you do this, it's very easy. It's not by talking, but you have to have your people on the ground, not just sitting down in offices. We have civilians in uniform calling themselves generals now. So that's what is happening. And until you deal with it, during the Civil War, there was about 3 or 4% of officers
Your Excellency, sorry for cutting you short. You've answered everything, and we see you are prepared. It's not that we have civilians who are calling themselves general.
Yes.
But you've answered the question. We started on putting everything together. You've said, yeah, we have problem of insider threats. Why are general becoming billionaire? And we keep budgeting all the time. Who are the people giving intelligence? So the bandits, to the criminals, to terrorists, who are those people? And then also when it comes to risk security, we always start from people getting good talent, competent people. And that's what we just mentioned here. And also having good process, which of course is going to back everything they are doing. And the final part of it is going to be technology, which of course I know your government can take care of that. We always lay emphasis on technology, buying more equipment and everything without having good people, without having process in place. And I think you've touched that. And that answered the question asked by Professor Tunde Adedinran, that what is going to be your immediate focus? I can see your emphasis on human security. It's only when people are free from fear, that's when they'll be able to travel to Zamfara, go to Kaduna without any fear of being bombed in the train on the way. Thank you very much for that. Let me take you to another question, which of course happens to be back about issue of combating terrorism and looking at international perspective. The annual threat assessment of the US intelligence community that was released on February 7 this year pointed out the terrorism remained a significant threat in most part of West Africa. They didn't mention Nigeria specifically. And let me read part of it for you. In West Africa, a volatile mixture of democratic backsliding, intercommunal violence, and terrorism will threaten the region's stability. Recent undemocratic transfer of power in Burkina Faso, Chad, Guinea, and Mali highlight the region's fragility, and in some cases, the belief among the public that their government are not able to effectively deliver services or managing expanding insecurity. Some of these leaders who remain in power are turning to autocratic, state-centric, and religious governance practice, with some prioritizing security in key urban centers while ceding rural territory to jihadists. We make sure Abuja is secured, while Kaduna just some few kilometers to us, the villages surrounding us, Abuja, not secure.
Abuja now is on Hail Mary.
We've seen people turning to, in fact, I see one of the prophets in Nigeria telling DSS to create a department of religious prophecy so that they can prophesy if something is going to happen. And part of what the annual threat assessment is talking here, there are 5 traditional means by which US government fight terrorism. And FBI has been doing that since 1908. Diplomacy, economic sanction, military options, covert intelligence operation. They don't wait for any pastor or prophet to tell them what's going to happen, but rigorous intelligence analysis and intelligence gathering. Then law enforcement action. The last 2 of these engage the resources of FBI, talking about intelligence operation and law enforcement action. And the FBI has directed emphasis of its resources toward the most pressing national security and criminal activities affecting the country as well. let me repeat, the approach of fighting terrorism is a semi-military aspect of security, and the significant element of terrorism and its suppression are also political and law enforcement concern for which military response is ineffective. I've read current Nigerian security strategy. What do you plan to import? What do you plan to change? And what are you importing to your counter-terrorism strategy to mitigate the threat of terrorism in Nigeria? Your Excellency, over to you.
Thank you. You know, my attitude to foreign intelligence reports and all of that is that as a commander-in-chief, they shouldn't know more than I know. I should know these things 5 years before they know it. And if they know it before I know it, then people who are in charge of my intelligence work need to explain to me how that has happened. But three things I need to say here, because you have many questions in your presentation. One is that we must separate loyalty to the state from loyalty to the government of the day. Those who are in charge of our security need to know that when I become president, the DSS job is not to look for those who are insulting me. I too, as president, in some situation, I can become either a witting or unwitting enemy of the state. So loyalty to the state is my employer and as president, and the state is the employer of the security people. They are not the state. So they need to understand that very clearly. Secondly, we need to understand that in diplomacy, you are expected to smile at your enemies. And when it's not every country that has sent an ambassador to your country that is your friend, it's a game of soccer internationally. You see that the players shake hands, but when the game starts, if the referee is not watching, the other person wants to break your leg. So that's how it is. In fact, it's closer to rugby because a bit of violence is legalized. And violence comes in many ways. Either you come and I can fight you through a proxy, I can create instability in your country and still be writing about it. So we need to align our interests to know who are our allies. And there are some alliances that we inherited. You remember in the past, when we used to have military coups, every military coup announcer will say that Nigeria will continue to abide by existing obligations. Why were they saying so? They were saying so because the coup in a country is against two people. The citizens of that country are surprised. Why is there a new government? And those who are outsiders, who have interest in Nigeria, are also alarmed. What are these new people saying? Are they against our interests? So I, as president, will understand the interest of regional powers, international powers, and to try to communicate in such a way that they will not equate our instability with the furtherance of their own interest. Because there is nothing that is going to make those who are in Paris to change their interest in the Sahel and in West Africa. America's concern with the Gulf of Guinea region, they have a long-term view of why they are very sensitive in the Gulf of Guinea. And some of the instability you see arises from the errors, the perennial problem of poor governance in-house, and the advantage which foreign enemies take of that. And when a government is discredited in the eye of the public will not regard, they will not respect, and they will not cooperate with the government. And for a state to have continuity, the government of the people must be seen by the people to be their government. And the people of the citizens of that country will not be amenable or available to be used against their country. So in Nigeria, we have managed to mismanage all of this over time. So when I come in, I will balance our relationship with our allies, because in many instances, even in purchase of procurement of platforms, there are certain platforms that they don't entrust to us. Either they will say we've broken Lehi law or something, or they will say that our operatives are going to expose them to their own enemies, so they won't give these platforms to us. Or they would not give the platform to us because they want to manage our crisis longer than we can be comfortable about it. So some of these
Your
aspects
Excellency,
are not. Yes,
sorry
sir.
for cutting. You've addressed part of it. When we
Yes.
have our men that abandon the weapons they took, they bought, anytime there's problem or they face Boko Haram, they just abandon their tools and run away. Look at case of Ukraine. They give them weapons and they were fighting. They didn't drop those weapons in there. So, and I think technically you've addressed that issue. The quality of those we have in military today. What's going on? Do you
You
think
see,
it's
you
part of the
address the
reason?
issue of morale.
It's part of the reason
There are three
that
problems.
Mhm.
There are three problems we need to address. Those may not be things we want to flesh out in an open forum like this. Number one, every army needs to be well led. Armed forces, you need to lead them. The officership is very important. And if the officership is looking like chieftaincy title and appointment and sharing your position, you will have tactical and strategic problems. So you have doctrine and command problems. You have control problems. You have logistic problems. So
I
there
love
is
that
that issue.
doctrine. I love that.
Yes. Secondly, we need to have a one army country. There should be no subordinated interest within the armed forces. We had that problem. If you study us during the Nigerian Civil War, you will find out that if anywhere you found Adekunle, the chief of staff to Adekunle, majority of the officers will be Yoruba. Anywhere you found Shoa, majority of the officers will be of northern extraction, and so many things like that. So we have not gone too far. We have not made a lot of progress in that regard. We will need to make more progress in that regard. There are also soldiers who have insubordination because of the loose system. A major may be having access to the state house and he does not listen to his brigadier general who's above him. So there's a lot of indiscipline. Remember that a brilliant chief of army staff, when he was retiring, said that he was leaving an army of anything goes. So, and we need to change that army of anything goes to an army that has discipline. You can take a major and put a box of diamond in front of him. The command that he has to deliver it is more important. He is not going to open it. But we have some parts of the armed forces where even the wages of their troops will be stolen on their way. So we have a lot of indiscipline which needs to be dealt with. However, our foreign partners, they cannot love us more than we love ourselves. And they have interests sometimes that don't align with ours. And it is our duty to see that even procurement, the way we do procurement and so many other things, does not encourage the supplier of the arms to think that I need to prolong this war for these people. We need to have that decisiveness. And I can show you a lot of correspondence between Gawan, Adewole, and Clement Eason, who was governor of Central Bank, where they were monitoring our spending. They were looking at losing things. Adewole was even asking them to calculate bullets used compared to the report he was getting on the Biafran side, and was saying that it looks like we're having a contractor-run war. And if you have a contractor-run war, the war has a life of its own. And if you have a calamity whereby those who want to do politics also rely on these contractors to finance their politics, then the war never comes to an end. It has an everlasting life. So I'm going to cut all of that. But as when you are telegraphing your security strategies, there's a limit to which you can do it. You will not be a good commander-in-chief if you telegraph up to detail.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. You answer everything. And let me tell you, we are not journalists. And for those who are attending this program, it's not a platform where we send questions to our guest speaker before coming to this platform. It tells you that Prince is prepared. We gave him broad topic on national security, and you can see how prepared. But someone asked, how do we implement all these things? And I also agree with one of the participants here that any institution funded on the tenet of discipline will be listless under the leadership of self-aggrandizer and economic Gomandaisa, that's a big English, right, Mr. Shega? The solution to this is responsibility, transparency, and accountability of government. The security operatives need leadership, and that is what is lacking at this point in time. And you cover everything. I know you have a lot of things to say, and we get to open forum where people are going to be able to, you're going to say more, and also people will be able to give comment and also ask question. But let's deal with this last question, which is very important. We pick very, very key, important question, which of course, whoever I want to become president of Nigeria must be conversant with cybersecurity, partnership priorities, and our cyber readiness. The emergence and rapid expansion of cyberspace has irreversibly changed how the world operates and interrelate. We all know that. For one, it has altered the calculus of power among and between states. In addition to their traditional out power profiles, we've seen that. We've seen how the attack against Ukraine, against Estonia, their energy sector. So state cyber capability are now very important factors that are used to determine the balance of soft power in international relations. And Nigeria, I mean, one of the biggest and biggest economy, the largest economy in Africa, and given the enormous resources available to our government and our strategic importance to the world, so it's time to reason that state and non-state actors will continuously target Nigeria for financial and political gain. Today, state actors are robbing banks to finance their operations. It is a new phenomenon, a reality of the modern society. Not only that, at home front, cyber crime is growing exponentially, on our home front, and cyber fraud by misguided youth, the one we call Yahoo boys, has entrenched Nigeria's notoriety for phishing scams around the world. The US Federal Bureau of Investigation has made numerous related arrests in the last 5 years, from Obi-Wan Okeke, a self-acclaimed young Nigerian billionaire who is currently serving a prison term in the US, to another Nigerian-born Raymond Abbas, otherwise known as Hush Puppy, the Instagram scammer. All these has caused Nigeria what we call reputational damage, risk. At times to get to certain job, they will ask you from Nigeria. It has affected the way we do business. Where do you see Nigeria in all this? What is the cornerstone of your cyberspace security strategy? I saw the one released by President Buhari recently. So what is going to be the cornerstone of your cyberspace and security strategy?
Okay, let me give you the cyber topography first. Nigeria suffers from cyber poverty. Given the size of our population, given our aspiration, we should have been more on the cyberspace than we are now. So that shortfall has given us some grace time, because those who want to attack us in terms of cyber attack don't have much to do. The aspect that has to do with our cybersecurity is our fintech, because our banks are using financial technology. So you will see that people sit down in North Korea and takes money out of our accounts. Some other non-state actors also do the same thing. But second thing you will need to know is that the cyber procurement in Nigeria is a threat, because we spend too much money buying basic functionality because we don't have a system for cyber procurement. So I will address that as well across government and also other heavy players who are not in the government. Next to that is that our cyber security reputation for the citizen is basically law enforcement. That one is simple policing will do that. If you have a very good department of criminal investigation department, where the policeman who is watching the Yahoo boy knows more about the Yahoo business than the Yahoo boy, it just happens to be a person who wants to do law enforcement. So if we don't do that, it's not where policemen stop young people on the road and check their phone to see what is there, or where the EFCC is using their conviction as to cover up for its own lack of success in other areas. Just grab a bunch of kids and say, okay, plead guilty after locking them up for some time, and then say we've convicted 2,000. That's nonsense. So you go into training the manpower to see that you have that. Second, the hardware. Right now, if you look at NCC and NITDA, they are supposed to come together and work with the NSA's office to develop a cyber security infrastructure for us. They are not able to do that. So the same problem you have in terms of policy concept, even if I lack the idea, I can always come to you or come to anybody and download something. The problem we need to solve is the problem of faithfulness to implementation of program. I've read President Buhari's cybersecurity policy paper is 9 years late. It's 9 years late. But they are not even in a position to do it because we were doing simple things like linking our national identity number with our telephone. And we also link our banking ID number, BVN, with our accounts. But people have kidnapped people and they are using MTN, Airtel, Glo, whatever is our Etisalat to openly call. And we are not able to trace anyone. And where we have, for example, we were able to intercept communication. We don't have the mobility or the willingness to have the mobility to be able to cordon off that area and grab the person. So what is happening, you can narrow it down that where you don't have proper government, every indignity follows. The same reason why a person can drop dead on the highway and the body is not that heavy, two people can carry the corpse, but no one will carry the corpse until it rots away for months. So the same reason, if they cannot do that physical, the same reason why the entire value chain, a physical product like PMS, petrol, can enter the country, it can leave the country of origin, there's no pre-shipment warning. The insurance company must test the product because petrol is flammable and it's a dangerous hazardous product. So for you to insure it, if you don't insure it, no shipper will carry it. So you to insure, you have to do testing. But it will enter Nigeria, go to Aslan's Cove or go elsewhere and get offloaded and put in depots and put in trucks, and it will knock your engine before anybody gets to know. It will also knock the engine of a state security officer. I've heard of DSS officers saying that their car got spoiled by bad fuel. So that shows to you that if something as feasible as that can penetrate into your living quarters, what of infeasible? So I think we can deal with all of this, but you need to have an ability to put together a government. Every president needs to make 5,000 appointments within 6 months. And he must be able to profile, because each of these 5,000 people in the executive branch, each of them is a threat to national security. If they are disloyal, if they are distracted, if they are under blackmail. So even Nigerian senior officers, people who are in critical position in security, are being blackmailed because they have their children schooling abroad and they're looking for visas for those countries. That alone, they give a lot of intelligence to foreign elements just because you want to get a visa for your son to go and school abroad. So so many things we need to put together. So you will not find an FBI operative at a certain level having their child even schooling in Mexico, because they know that child can be kidnapped by any of the drug lord and you will not be able to do your job.
We go through a lot of intelligence background check, and you have different level of clearance.
Yes,
which I don't see that happening
here.
Yeah, and someone is just asking here that at the mention of Nigeria in foreign countries,
yes,
they look at us just with another eyes. Our reputation home and abroad are gone,
yes,
and their ask is asking, what are you going to do about this? If you are elected as president by Nigerians, what are you going to do about this? And everything has to do with this cybercrime.
What I want to do about it is, number one, the government itself is not inspirational enough. You've just pardoned 2 conflicted governors. So you're not going to tell any young person not to go to crime. Just take that. Secondly, the people in government live like Yahoo people. If you look at their lifestyle, look at the way they spend money, look at the pop and pageantry. So
In,
they
in fact,
inspire people.
someone just put it here that every security agency is running their own agenda to fund budget, and the holistic security architecture suffer effective implementation. They just want
Yes,
budget. They just want money.
so you could easily find that someone puts his child in a military staff school or government college somewhere, immediately is posted to any of these positions that has to do with security. The child goes abroad and they are having parties in Dubai. All of this is known. What is the military police doing? But long and short of it is that you can talk about all these things till the end of time. You need to have a patriot who is competent and who is on the job. And then every person who enters the State House, which is the beginning of the presidency, to those who go to the Federal Secretariat, for those who are in those invisible safe houses all over the country where we carry our security, each one of them is at war. He knows it's in the war front. And if he buys a loaf of bread, we know why. He has to explain to us where he got the money to buy the loaf of bread. What is he doing? If there's no kickback in the State House, all of this will disappear. Then when you have a clean government, then you can start to have a clean police department, have clean investigators. And then these investigators will now start to show these people who are using Nigeria for cyber phishing. We can also be giving some leadership to neighboring countries where some people live and go. It's not all of these people who are Nigerians. I have some people who are not Nigerians, somehow claim to be Nigerians. But what we need to do is to deal with the issue of complicity of our law enforcement. Then any Nigerian who is in your country, not linking the crime to the homeland, you cannot blame us for whatever he does over there. But the aspect that has to do with me is where some of the money is sent back home, where there is a kind of secretary that when FBI, CIA, anyone who is tracing it, once they go 6-7 steps, they see that the money is going to Nigeria. There is this vast gray area of people who say, do you need money abroad? I'm going to pay it. If you pay Naira to me here, I'll give you money abroad. Some of it is part of money laundering. Some part of people bringing furniture in and selling furniture for cheap. Some part of people bringing cars in that when you Google the price of the car, you wonder, how is this car so cheap here? With shipping, clearing, and everything, you know that it's a way to bring money in. When you see so many military officers doing car business, there's no poor man in the customs, for example. Why is that? And their pay is not far better than the pay of people in
Prince
prison service.
Adewole,
So you can deal with all of
Adebayo,
that in many ways.
for 1 hour straight, non-stop, you have been able to put everything in perspectives, and it seems to me that you are ready. I know you have a lot of things to say, but I will give opportunity also for people to comment. But from your response here, you are ready. You identify leadership number 1, leadership number 2, and leadership number 3. And these are part of what we need to face. The major institutions of Nigeria national security were designed, like you mentioned earlier on, for different era to meet different requirements. We need security sector reform, and also exploiting the intelligence advantage and taking full advantage of science and technology are key. And also we know from history that deterrence can fail. And we know from experience as well, as you mentioned, that some enemies cannot be deterred. So it means intelligence, the quality of the people we have in there, and how we use our first line of defense against terrorists, against criminal. So these are an organized group. These are way, to go. We must transform our intelligence capability and build new ones to keep pace with the nature of the threat we face today. And it must be appropriately integrated with our defense and law enforcement system. There's no simple solution. The government and the public must also understand that criminality, terrorism has been around for centuries, and it's going to be with us for a long time to come. There's no magic bullet, and there's no easy solution. and there will never be a clean victory. But a leader who understands the problem, we always do all what is necessary as duty of government to mitigate all this stress. And it seems you are ready, you prepare for that. Thank you very much, Prince. I will now open floor, and if you can just, I've seen some hands up. Before that, you're going to, Prince, I will allow you to give your conclusions. I mean, the concluding statement to conclude about on this, and the open floor for those who want to talk to you, those who want to add to what you've said, and that we're going to do that within 10 minutes. We promise we're going to stay 1 hour, and we are able to stay to that for those who want to break their fast. Once again, thank you very much, and I will open floor for you, to make your concluding statement, and I welcome people to be able to speak. If you want to speak, can you raise your hand? Yeah, I've seen Professor Adewole, and probably I should allow them to talk before you give your last statement, right? If you agree with me, okay. Let me give floor to Professor Adewole. Prof, it's been ages. Can you unmute yourself, please, Prof?
Yes, can you hear me now?
We can hear you live and clear.
I hear you, sir.
Prof, go ahead. Prof, we cannot hear you again. You can go ahead.
Very good. I'm really amazed at the level of preparedness again. Oh, goodness. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. So I was saying that I'm really amazed at the level of preparedness I could see from the guest, submissions, and the questions were pointed. And I'm glad that, the professionals are bringing those who want to govern us, to really scrutinize them to know the type of preparation that they have had. Now, the just 2 points I should like to make, really. When we see a candidate like this, I think it is also part of the challenges of our system, that how can this system throw up this type of aspirant to such a way that what we see will really benefit this nation, because we have a system, what we call leadership recruitment, that doesn't give room to some people to really emerge. And that's why we've been having all kinds of characters. And even right now, I'm sorry to say, we have charlatans and all kinds of people wanting to go over this country who do not even understand the basic of governance. Now we are listening to important, the most vital of governance. What we have heard, I just kept praying within me and saying, how I wish God could favor Nigeria by allowing this type of aspirant to get there and turn our fortunes around. But we have this system which really does not allow. Can the aspirant tell us what he intends to do to surmount this type of problem, so that we don't have this type of talent wasted at the end of the day? Are there things that he believes he could do or will do that will get him there? And secondly, the final point is that, well, he shouldn't relax. He should continue to sharpen his wit and so forth. I've seen a number of great Nigerians on this platform now, that I believe that it will be good to really further source information from what these people have done, from their writings, from their works and so forth, so that learning is an ongoing process. And in the process of your campaigns and so forth, keep yourself the more. Looking at all these, the General Williams, Bello Fadile, and all so many of our patriots. So don't relent. I have been really impressed. It is amazing. It is amazing. I kept wondering what is the background of this, aspirant. And between what we were told as your background and what you have delivered, it seems that there are some other things extra to even those backgrounds that you have had. It's amazing. I thank God.
Thank you, Prof. It's like
That Nigeria has at this age.
we lost him. Thank you, Prof. We really appreciate. And when Prince will respond to all those questions you raise. Thank you very much, Prof. Eda Ayokunle, let me give the floor to you to pass your comment and also ask your question.
Thank you very much for having me. Prince, I must appreciate the depth that you've brought in to sway on the issues of national security and your ability to converge understanding of the dynamics of national interest, national security, the dynamics of our national security strategy, the national defense policies. It's clear that you're a good student. In moving forward, it is clear that our problem actually has a lot more to do with the fact that the current operators do not read, and when they do read, they do not practice what is contained in our legal and policy instruments. For example, quite a number of the issues, and I love the way you are trying to navigate in terms of describing some of the challenges that we're having. When you take a look at what is called farmer-others clash, which you have cleverly defined and tried to navigate so as to stay within the ambits of the law, I am hoping that ultimately, by God's grace, we will get to the level that we will be labeling things correctly. Because when you look at what is referred to as farmer-others clash, within the confines of the penal codes, there are 56 violations. When you look at the issues often referred to as nomadic herdsmen security challenges called farmer-others clash, there are 78 violations in the criminal code. So we need to get to the level where the operators and the Nigerian state will help these things correctly in such a way that we can truly and genuinely apprehend, prosecute, because it will be easy when we see it as a crime and criminality. The other issue that you have raised in terms of reprofiling our operatives and those who are going to occupy public offices, I think is a right step in the right direction. I wish you well in your endeavor as an aspirant, and I hope that part of what you'll be doing will be to translate some of these thoughts into documents that will guide us policy actions. Thank you.
Thank you. Let me quickly move to Mr. Nelson Fadoju. Can you unmute yourself?
Okay, sir. Yes, I've done that. Are you hearing me?
Yes, we can hear you
Hello.
loud and clear.
Yes.
Yes.
My name is Venerable Nelson Fadoju, a journalist, broadcaster, arbitrator, and mediator. I want to thank the organizer of this program once again, as we did one about 3 days ago. It was very, very fantastic. Yes, in fact, the almost 3 hours just looked like as if it was just 30 minutes. And the same thing is happening today again. I want to ask Prince Barrister Adewole Adebayo, if people refuse to carry cups for days and weeks in Nigeria, is it not due to the mistrust of our security officers? who may obtain justice against those who want to be good Samaritans in the very first instance? That's question number one. Then because we are talking about security, looking at the way our officers, especially the security officers, carry out their duty these days in Nigeria, it seems as if they are more concerned for politics than the ethics of maintaining security the way it should be. So if by the grace of God you are elected to be the #1 citizen of Nigeria, how do you intend to solve all this problem? Because today we have more generals who have never even been to any war. Boko Haram is there, Sambisa war is there, internal wars are there, but yet we are seeing another thing. So these are my questions. Thank you very much.
Let me take the last comment, which is that of Mr. Awosanya, Shega Awosanya. You can unmute yourself, please.
Thank you very much, Prof. And thank you. I stand on existing protocol. I appreciate all the profs in the house and the senior security personnel who are retired, who are in the house, and also the participants. I just want to commend Prince Adewole Adebayo for his courage, for his sacrifice, for coming out boldly to want to take the reins of the affairs of the country at this point in time, because he's more than prepared. He understands the purpose and powers of government. He understands what to do. He knows what to do. He knows what the issues are. And he also has the discipline to navigate intelligently, issues around the solution of governance. And beyond rhetoric, he's not a rhetorician. Beyond rhetoric, he knows precisely that the duty of leadership is about responsibility. Basically, it is not that we're looking for a messiah or we're looking for a strong man, but we're looking for someone who is dutiful enough to identify talent and work as a team with a group of patriotic Nigerians in order to bring about the kind of uniqueness that it requires, to govern a country as complex as Nigeria. And I just want to continue to commend him that when people ask the question, how will you win? How will you overcome or upturn the obstacles around? Well, we continue to say to him that the obstacles are the path. People don't win, rise up, contest election, and win election without the powers and the support of the public. If we are looking at him and asking him, how will he win? We should ask ourselves, how are we ensuring? What are we doing to spread the word around him and ensure that people like him, and he himself in particular, because he has proven himself to us, wins this particular election? It is the power of the people that brings about a win to any candidate. It is not by their own magic, and it's not by their own prowess. So we must begin to spread the word that we have heard today, and the preparedness that we have seen today, take it to our neighbors, take it to our vicinity, and continue to ensure that people hear his voice enough to know that this is a person we need to queue behind. Now, 2023 is not a reality TV show. It is serious business, and we must elect to power people who are ready and prepared enough to govern Nigeria, not to rule Nigeria. Thank you very much.
And thank you very much for that brilliant comment. Prince Adewole is up to that task, and I will yield the floor to him to answer those questions that has been raised, and also for his closing remarks. Prince.
Thank you very much. Let me thank Professor Adebayo for his kind words, and also to assure everyone, especially the prof, because he asked that question particularly, that I will do everything legitimate and everything it takes. I will run a competent campaign that will leave no one in doubt that I can execute the office of the president. So whoever is going to run a government should at least be able to run a campaign very well. That is my duty. And my benchmark is that everyone with any cognitive ability, 5 years and above, will know about me in any part of the country, will know what I stand for, and will know where I've taken the country to, and I can paint the imagination of a beautiful Nigeria in the mind of anyone who listens to me and who sees me. That is my part. The rest is left to my compatriots to not be distracted and to focus on the issue and to do this for Nigeria and for Nigeria, not to put any other personal interest in between. With respect to Venerable Badoju's question, when I made the metaphor of living corpses of the street, it's not that you need a good Samaritan to pick up the cops. There is somebody who is in charge of public health department. There is the police who is in charge of homicide investigation. So even at local government level, that should not last more than 1 hour. Somebody should be there. In many parts of the world, if you are going and you sit in your car and you see a lay-by and you park your car, within 5-10 minutes, a police patrol is going to come and say, "Are you all right? Do you have a problem?" So that shows to you that the government pays attention to basic things. And I think we are feeling in the country from the councillor level all the way to the presidency. So that's the thing that I've got me to change. What I will change when I come in there is that you will see that I'm dutiful and I know the subject and I know my duty. Now, all other questions pertaining to Fagbemi, for example, what I can say is this. As Commander-in-Chief and as President, all executive powers of the state are vested in me. Therefore, if a policeman slaps someone wrongly, I am guilty because that policeman is an executive branch person executing the law, which is my duty. I'm the chief executive. It's not a parliamentary system where there's collective responsibility. All buck stops at the president's desk. So I will ensure that I keep my oath of office, and anyone who is working with me, either in the State House directly with me, or in any police post somewhere, or a military barrack somewhere, or any outpost or post office, that person also reads their own oath of office and they keep their oath of office. If Nigerian public officials just stick to the oath of office, which is one, to be loyal to the country, to be loyal to the country, to the Federal Republic of Nigeria. 1. 2, to do your duty with all your might. 3, to do your duty without fear or favor, ill will or affection, and not to put your personal interests above or to compete with that of the country, and not to devolve to any person information available to you in the course of your job, to any person for any personal gain or anything. So when you do all of those things, you will say that no one would have the right to steal money or to do anything or to do any other subordinated activity. And it is my job to enforce it. And when I enforce it against those who are very close to me, you will see that those who are below will follow suit. If there is no presidency working against the president, then you have a good government. What has been happening in Nigeria is that by some design or alchemy, the presidency is almost always working against the president. And where you have a president that is weak or that is leaning on the presidency that has gone wayward, then bad things start to happen. And Boko Haram, any of these problems, they are serious problems, but they are not insurmountable. You just need to have people mounting their post. If you mount your post and you report for duty and you do the duty dutifully, all these problems will disappear in months. Of course, new challenges will come to the country, but the one we see now are not supposed to give us heartburn. There are challenges that happen to you where you have no government. And you saw what happened in America in January last year, when there was an atmosphere whereby an incumbent president put his personal interests above that of the country. The Congress was invaded. People's lives were not safe, and all of that. It shows to you that if it can happen to an established democracy, it would happen to us too. And we have that in an epidemic proportion. In the case of the United States, only one man was in breach of his oath of office. Every other person down the line kept faith. But in our own case, it's an epidemic, and I must go and have a fish in Nassau Rock that is not rotting the head. Once you have that, everything follows.
Thank you very much, Prince. And I think we've come to the end of this program. It's been fantastic. Prince, what do you do in your leisure time?
This is my leisure time. I'm talking to you.
You don't play golf?
Well, in my leisure time, I think now I suspend most things that I used to do, but my leisure time now, I just spend it to ruminate about the issues in the country. So, so my leisure time, because we're in a state of emergency, both my work time and my leisure time have merged together to try to put an end to the problem facing us. And I believe once I succeed in doing that, then I go back to leisure. When leisure, usually I like to work. I'm a farmer. I like to work on my farm. I did a bit of farming today.
No time to play squash with Professor Adewole, or you play soccer occasionally?
I play soccer a lot. Not only occasionally, I was a football coach when I was in university. I played that a lot. But these days, I have a lot of memos to read. I have research to read. I have things to do. I have meetings. But I believe that I will create time, and it will be a great pleasure to be in the presence of Professor Adewole and eminent people like Professor Adewole. So play squash, because I know for every move, I'm learning something.
Thank you, Prince.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. We're happy to have you. We're glad to have you. And I will turn over to Konabelo Fadile to just say thank you, and we close this session.
Thank you very, very much, Prince Adewole Adebayo. It's a pleasure. We're happy at the Council for African Security Affairs to have you. We look forward to have you again and to host others. It is my pleasure that we're able to host this, and I'm really impressed that you have been able to tell the people, the world, as we are recording this and we share it with others, that you are what you are, that you are up to the task, that you are not a greenhorn, as they are saying. You mean what you are saying, and you are up to the task. Like the Prof said, your word is your bond. Let the world see you for who you are, and you are ready, like Churchill said, let Nigerians see our finest hours. So thank you for coming, and may the good Lord be with you. And for all our participants who came, we thank you very much. We look forward to seeing you again when we invite you. And very soon, we will be in Nigeria to organize a physical presence and physical debate and conversation physically in Nigeria. Thank you all, and God bless you all. You can unmute now and say hello to people you haven't seen for a long time. You are all welcome.
Thank you. You can unmute yourself and say hello before we...
I appreciate special thanks to General Williams, who have been with us, Brigadier General Fatai, General Umeka, Koneambolu. All of you, I really appreciate your joining us. Dr. Osato Aradia, from all over the world, I appreciate your presence. It's really a pleasure having you. And Council for African Security Affairs, thank you all. Thank you, sir, General Williams.
Hello.
I'm particularly happy.
I'm very grateful.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, Elder Fagbemi, thank you for your contribution too.
We hope on Major Generals come there.
Yes. And thank you, Barrister Fatima Waziri Ibrahim, Polity Without Bitterness. I see all of you. My sister Belinda from Ghana, thank you very much. Thank you, all of you. Honorable Abayomi Williams, thank you. Abayomi Bello. Thank you, Alfred Coco. We appreciate all of you. General Emeka, thank you.
All right, we're closing this. Thank you, everyone, and hopefully to see you next time for
Yeah, check the
our
YouTube. You see the recording.
next series
Can
of
play it
our
back and distribute.
conversation.
It's recorded and will be uploaded in YouTube.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.